Well, it's close enough to 6 o'clock. I'm going to call this meeting to order, and I want to welcome council.
I can hear everybody.
I hear Patricia's online there as well. So just want to welcome everybody that's listening in on YouTube and Facebook as well tonight. So we'll ask the clerk for the roll call, please.
Good evening, Your Worship. All members are present.
Thank you very much. Item number 3 is review of revisions or deletions to the agenda.
I can't hear anybody on my council meeting.
We have to get you to push the listen or voice by internet, I believe it is.
Mute button.
Maybe there's a mute button as well, yeah. But she should be able to hear us. So. When you came online there, Councilor Hewitt, there was a box there that you had to touch the listen in by internet. Okay, well, we'll carry on. Anything else we need to add or delete through the agenda at this point? Hearing and seeing nobody else making any comments. Item number 4 is approval of the agenda. We've got a mover by Councillor Foley, second by Councillor Ferrier. Be resolved that City Council approves the agenda as printed. Anybody opposed to that motion? Seeing, hearing none, we'll consider that motion carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature tonight? Seeing and hearing nothing, we'll carry on. Item number 6, review and adoption of the council minutes. And I've got a draft resolution moved by Councillor MacArthur, second by Councillor Hewitt. Be resolved that City Council approves the following minutes as printed. A, the regular meeting of council that was held on February the 16th, 2021. So any comments on that set of minutes, errors or omissions? Anybody opposed to that motion? Hearing said none, we'll consider that motion carried. So there's no public meetings pursuant to the Planning Act, Municipal Act, or other statutes tonight. We reached the first question and answer period. Has anybody got a question, council, at this point, or anybody in the chat box?
So far, Mayor Kidd, no questions.
Okay, well, we'll move along to item number 9, the presentations and delegations. I believe Ines Mackey is on the line. She's the president-elect of the Rotary Club regarding the splash pad. Ines, are you there?
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Excellent. So the floor is yours. You can start your comments.
Thank you. So for the past 3 years, the Rotary Club has stood by our commitment to the Splash Pad project, and we've hosted a variety of fundraisers and events to raise money for the Splash Pad. This year has been very unique for everyone, but that did not stop us. We hosted a socially distant book sale, as well as a very well-received virtual fishing tournament. With that said, on behalf of the Rotary Splash Pad, I would like to present a further $10,000 donation towards the construction of the Rotary Splash Pad amongst the New Liskeard waterfront. And I'd also like to give special mention to a donation we recently received of $5,000 from the New Liskeard Lions Club that we will also be forwarding to the city.
That is excellent news. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Appreciate the Lions Club as well. And you've done a marvelous job over the last couple of years fundraising and putting money into this project. And I know Mike and I were at the unveiling of the check yesterday at noon there, and we're quite pleased to be there. And I know Mike is on the committee there for the splash pad, and he made a few comments there as well. So it's a great project, and it's going to really beautify our waterfront there and get people back down to the waterfront. So I thank you very much for your donation and the Lions Club donation.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that very much. Thank you. So, appreciate you coming online tonight. And whether Brad had a copy of the picture of the check to put on the live streaming tonight or not, but if not, we will carry on with our communications.
Mayor Kidd, it was on the live stream, the check.
Oh, was it? Okay, it was on the live stream. Okay. So, okay. Moving on to item number 10, the communications. 10A is a letter from Mac Bain, the Executive Director for the Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities, regarding the joint and several liability and the rising municipal insurance costs. And that correspondence was received on February the 18th for information. 10B is a letter from Robert Tremblay, the President of AMCTO, regarding an open letter to the Ontario Municipal Councils. And that was received for information on this February the 18th as well. 10C is a letter from Doug Jelly, the Chair of the District of Temiskaming Social Services Administration Board, regarding the 2021 budget package and the media release from DSAB. So that was received on February the 19th for our information. 10D is a letter from Robert Rush, the Chair of the Board for the District School Board Northeast, and that's regarding revised community planning and partnerships policy and procedure, and that was received for information on February the 19th. And lastly, the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry issues a review of the proposed draft spruce budworm insect pest management program, and that was received for information on February the 21st. I have a draft resolution moved by Councillor Whalen, second by Councillor Foley. Be resolved that City Council agrees to deal with communication items 10A through 10E according to the agenda references. So, any comments on those different correspondence? Yes, Councillor Whalen.
Yeah, I just want to quickly comment on the communication received from Doug Jelly and the DSAB. Well, you know, lots of residents still think that council is 2 meetings a month, but there's an awful lot of work that goes into creating the budget for the District Social Services Administration Board. And I just want to thank Councillor Jelly and his board for the efforts put into that, because we're well represented. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I know the DSAB budget is a large number. It's like almost $30 million there. So that's a lot of work putting that together and make sure everything's covered and make sure we can operate within the parameters of their budget. So,
if I could, Your Worship, I would
yes.
have a couple statements. First of all, thanks, Councillor Whalen, for your comments. It certainly wasn't an easy budget this year, and just for your information, our budget is just north of $35 million for the District Social Services Board. So it's quite a task each year to come up with a budget that we can all live with, and this year was no different than anything else. What was impacting our budget this year, of course, COVID impacted everyone's budget, but we've also taken a giant good step forward in that we now have supervision 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for our EMS staff. Prior to our change this year, we didn't have a supervisor on 24 hours a day, and it did create some issues, nothing major, but some issues that certainly could have become major if not looked after. So that was basically what we did this year. We gave up lots of things so that we could get this in and get it running smoothly. So when we started our deliberations, our staff brought back to us a raise that would have amounted to about 1.89% for the city, which would have been about $42,700, which was still, I might add, within the budget that we had struck at council. We asked them to go back and come back with some different figures using some of our reserves. So they did. They went back. They came back with a 1%, which would have meant our proportion would have went up $19,700 from last year. And they also brought back a zero budget increase. So that's what the majority of the board, or the board unanimously actually decided on, was using our reserves to bring the increase to zero. So for the city of Temiskaming Shores, that means a decrease of $3,291 over last year's apportionment. So certainly good news for us, good news for all our other communities. Some still went up, but not as drastically as can be. And as you're aware, we work most of our budgets on a formula based on, in the case of, some of its workload, some of its population, some of its assessment, or a combination thereof. So I'm very pleased with it, that we come in with such a low low number this year. We managed to keep it at zero. And I want to certainly thank Kelly Black and her staff for the work that they did on this. They did a great job and brought it back and guided us through it. So again, I'm pleased with that, and I was proud to present that to our council and to the rest of the communities within our district. Thank you.
Doug, if you wanted to just outline your involvement, DSAB's involvement in the community safety and well-being plans as well. I know DSAB are
Yes,
such a good story that
Yes, I can do that, Your Worship. The community safety and well-being plan is, we're all aware, has been something that's, been bouncing in COVID-19 certainly put a different spin on it because lots of municipalities had a lot more important things to do than community service and safety well-being plan, although that in itself is important. We'd originally started out to have DSAB take the front run on this and organize it, get somebody in to do it for the district, but we couldn't get it going until this year. Now we have everybody on board in the total district, and we will be doing, I believe an RFP has already gone out to have the community safety and well-being plan started and worked on, and it will be in conjunction with the health unit, as I'm sure you're aware, Your Worship. So it'll be a joint effort to guide it through between us and the health unit. And a different twist for our area, Temiskaming will also be included in the community safety and well-being plan. And for those out there, the simple reason is Temiskaming received their OPP policing from the Temiskaming district. They received their health services from the Temiskaming district. They received their education from Temiskaming district mostly. And the only thing they received from the Nipissing district is the social services, the DSAB. So we've they've asked to come with us for the community safety and well-being plan, and that's what's going to happen. So we look forward to working on this, and hopefully we can get it done in time, but we have asked for an extension. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. It's a good news story. Any other comments on the correspondence?
Your Worship,
Yes.
just I do just want to touch bases, and thanks Councillor Jelly, for passing, that budget. It does have a positive impact on the budget that we looked at, for the municipality where we were expecting to see an increase. So I think that's really positive, for us. The second piece is when we look at the letter that we received from the school board focusing on the partnership piece within the community, my ask is that we forward that letter to the library board. It's very consistent with the strategic plan that the library board put together, really focusing on building partnerships within the community as well. And as we all know that, the school boards have really eliminated the libraries that were built within the school boards. So I think there's a really good opportunity for us to reach out. We've done a lot of work in really focusing on the new facility that we do have and really expanding the services that we offer to the community. And I think that's a nice fit with the school board and a great opportunity for us to start some dialogue with them. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I think we can also add the transfers on to our recreation department as well. There's lots of opportunities there where we can share services in the actual buildings that we actually own there and share the recreation activities with both the school board and the city there. So.
Mayor Kidd?
Yes, Councilor MacArthur.
Yes, I would just like to congratulate Phenom for looking at the rising municipal insurance costs. I think that it's hurting a lot of municipalities throughout the province. And I think along with Phenom and AMO, we can maybe find out how to stop it and reduce it. Because, when it comes back to our taxpayers, we obviously don't like to increase taxes, but if our insurance keeps going up, liabilities, etc., it hurts us. So I'm glad that Phenom are attacking this subject. It's been a long time coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Dirk. No, thank you very much. So, any other comments on the correspondence? Anybody oppose this motion? I'll consider that one carried. And moving on to item number 11, the committees of council, the community and regional. We have a draft resolution moved by Councillor Jelly, second by Councillor Hewitt. Be resolved that the following minutes be accepted for information. A, the minutes of the District of Temiskaming Social Services Administrative Board meeting held on January the 20th, 2021. And also the minutes of the Temiskaming Shores Public Library Board meeting held on January 20th, 2021. So, any comments on those two sets of minutes? Anybody opposed to that motion? We will consider that one carried. There are no committees of council, the internal departments tonight. Are there any reports by members of council?
Yes, I have one.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I attended the 64th Annual Virtual Economic Development Conference and Showcase. And it was over 6 weeks, Wednesdays from 9 till noon. The theme was Evolve On, and there were guest speakers. There were great ideas. One topic was supporting tourism recovery during and after COVID, up to speed on Ontario's broadband cellular action plan, and a platform for sustainable asset and capabilities, looking over the border, opportunities to evolve on, evolution in diversity and inclusion in the workplace, talk about real estate. They also talk on positioning ourselves in the workplace in Ontario, throwing out the rule book and policy development for the new normal. The leadership at times of disaster had a panel from the Mayor of Barrie, Peterborough, and Brant County. And one line I copied down here: every action, including inaction, is a risk. Don't be afraid to fail. And I found this a very good conference, and a lot of information, and economic development is going to have to play a big role. And after COVID kind of ends, to make a big comeback in this province, let alone Canada. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Other comments?
I have one, Your Worship,
Reports?
if I could.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to advise council and the public that we had a police service board meeting last week, and we welcomed aboard Jeff Davis as a new member of our police service board. Jeff is a provincial appointee, so that brings our board back up to the capacity of 5, where we normally are, and which we're allowed under the existing Police Services Act. And we'll see what happens in the future. But anyways, I just wanted to advise you that Jeff is now aboard. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other reports? Just one comment. I did sit in on a teleconference with the Premier Ford and the Ministers of Health and the Minister Clark there as well, just talking to all the 444 mayors and reeds in the province, and they were just congratulating us for working with the different health units and working with the province to try and get the vaccines out there and get the people vaccinated. And I think things are going a lot better now. We're going to get a lot more deliveries, and we've gone now into the second shots for all assisted living facilities. We'll be going into the Manor and some of the other facilities very shortly, Bear Island, and a few other places that we're getting into and giving those shots as well. So very shortly we'll be getting down to the 80+ group and starting to immunize those people as well. So I think they just want to congratulate the municipalities for all their assistance there as well. So there's no more other comments. We number 14 is the notice of motions. Anybody got a notice of motion tonight?
Patricia, I think, was looking to get through.
Councilor Hewitt, are you on? There you are.
Yeah, oftentimes I know Your Worship, you, depending on how it's set up, you might not necessarily see me. So just I wanted to mention that based on Councillor MacArthur's comments, absolutely action is important. And in celebration of International Women's Day coming up on March 8th, that's primarily their theme in celebrating women's history by discovering and taking action on issues that create a more fair and equitable future together. So there's a few different activities happening throughout the region as well as locally. So keep your ears plugged for that.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. I was sort of locked on Doug's screen there, and all I could see was Doug until I press the right buttons there again. So there's no other motions. We'll go on to item number 15, the new business. And 15A is the support for the community safety and well-being plan extension request for the Township of Asphodel Norwood. And the draft resolution is moved by Councilor Jelly, signed by Councilor MacArthur. Whereas the Town of Asphodel Norwood Council approved a resolution in support of extending the deadline for the community safety and well-being plans. And whereas the Police Service Act in 1880 was amended on January 1st, 2019 to mandate every municipality in Ontario to prepare and adopt a community safety and well-being plan. And whereas the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing introduced the Municipal Emergency Act 2020 to assist municipal governments and local boards during the COVID-19 emergency. And whereas the protection measures municipalities have put in place to protect their communities, councillors and staff members include eliminating face-to-face meetings, closing municipal offices and directing staff to work from home. And whereas while these measures are imperative and necessary, they impose undue hardship on municipalities to meet the provincial deadlines, such as the completion and adoption of a community safety and well-being plan prior to January 1st, 2021. And whereas Bill 189, the Coronavirus Support and Protection Act 2020 was passed to amend the various acts to support municipal policing and community partners during the pandemic. Now therefore be resolved that the Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores hereby supports the Township of Asphodel Norwood's call to the Solicitor General to review the imposed deadline for municipalities to complete and adopt a community safety and well-being plan in consultation with local governments to address the unique challenges facing individual regions. And a copy of this resolution will be forwarded to the Honorable Sylvia Jones, the Solicitor General, and the Township of Asphodel Norwood. So, any comments on this new business? Anybody opposed to this motion? Seeing and hearing none, we'll consider that motion carried. 15B is the Treasurer 2020 Statement of Remuneration. And I got a motion moved by Councillor Whalen, second by Councillor LaFerrier. Whereas Section 284/1 of the Municipal Act 2001 states that the Treasurer of a municipality shall in each year or on or before March 31st provide to the Council of the municipality an itemized statement of remuneration and expenses paid in the previous year to each member of Council and to each person other than a member of Council appointed by the municipality to serve as a member of any body, including a local board, in respect to his or her services as a member of the body. Now, therefore, be resolved that Council acknowledge receipt of the 2020 Statement of Remunerations and Expenses as submitted by the Treasurer, and a copy of this statement be posted on the city's website and advertised in the city bulletin. So, any comments on this new business? Anybody opposed to this motion? We will consider that one carried. 15C, Memo 008, 2021 CS, the Integrity Commissioner Services update. And I got a motion be resolved the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledge receipt of Memo 008, 2021 CS for information purposes. So that was moved by Councillor Hewitt, second by Councillor MacArthur. So any comments? Anybody opposed to that motion? Seeing none, we'll consider that one carried as well. 15D, Memo 009, 2021 CS, the appointment of an enforcement officer. And it's moved by Councillor Whalen, second by Councillor Jelly. Be resolved that Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores hereby acknowledge receipt of Memo 009, 2021 CS. And the Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaws to appoint Gabriel Tassay as a property standards officer and a municipal law enforcement officer for consideration at the March 2nd, 2021 regular council meeting. So any comments on this motion? So anybody opposed to this motion? We'll consider that one carried. 15E is Memo 008, 2021 PW, the contract for the Ontario Clean Water Agency. And the motion is moved by Councillor Ferrier, second by Councillor Foley. Be resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledge receipt of Memo 006, 2021 PW, and that Council directs staff to enter into a contract negotiations with the Ontario Clean Water Agency for an additional 5-year term for the operation, maintenance, and management of the city's water and wastewater treatment facilities within the City of Temiskaming Shores. Any comments? Anybody oppose this motion? We will consider that one carried. Thank you. 15F, Administrative Report PW 004, 2021, the tender award for the triaxle dump truck. And the motion is moved by Councillor MacArthur, second by Councillor Whalen. Be it resolved that council for the city to restore acknowledged receipt of administrative report PW 004 2021. The council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to enter into an agreement with Freightliner North Bay for supply and delivery of a triaxle in the amount of $195,986 plus applicable taxes. The council approved the purchase of purchases for the above vehicle with an upset limit of $15,000 plus applicable taxes. And that council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw agreement for consideration at the March 2nd, 2021 regular council meeting. Any comments on this?
I have, your worship, if I can.
Yes, sir. Councilor
Thank
Kelly.
you. Just a question on it. I'm disappointed, of course, with the tenders to come in that our local company is not, the lowest one, but I am the tender process being as it is. My question is the extra $15,000. That equipment wasn't by chance on either one of the other two vehicles. I don't know if Mitch is there.
Mitch should be online, I think.
Yes, I'm here. So no, the appurtenance is what it actually is an auto greaser for the unit.
Okay.
So it's not on any of the trucks at the moment. But the reason we always put auto greasers on them is that from an operator point of view, there's a lot of locations on the trucks where the fittings just aren't accessible to the operator. So for maintenance and longevity of the unit, we always put an auto greaser on after the fact.
Okay, my other concern was, and I did speak to Mitch about it the other day, is the fact that the vehicle, should something happen, will have to be floated to back to North Bay if we go with indeed the one they're recommending. It's about I believe you said a $1,500 float each way. Concern didn't seem to be too high there because of the quality of the vehicles. But nonetheless, we must remember that it's not, should something happen to it, it doesn't get serviced locally. And I guess that's about it. Oh, the other question I have, and I don't know whether, again, Mitch, if you've talked to Public Works, the delivery date is sometime later this year, whereas the one vehicle that's in there, the one up from this bid, is available immediately or almost immediately. I'm just wondering what the concern, or is there a concern with Public Works that they will not be getting this triaxle vehicle for the summer or before late this year?
So the intent is that we would surplus one of our tandems once we receive the triaxle. Our two tandems are still in service. One of them is, getting old and tired on us, but right now it's still working. So we should be all right to get us through to the fall.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Do you want to record vote on this, or everybody?
I wouldn't mind, your worship. I still think we should really be striving to shop local. I understand the tender process, but
Mayor Kidd, I agree with Councillor Jelly. We're told to shop local, and we've got to also have our contractors or whoever's involved with our quotes to make a quote that's reasonable. It's not that I don't like North Bay either, but it's too bad that we've got to shop out of town. And I'm hoping we're getting as good a price as we can expect, but I'm disappointed too, along with Councillor Jelly on this one.
Your worship, it's Jeff, and I'd like to support the comments that were just made as well. And I think that the tender process is there, but I think Councillor Jelly brought up a few items that I think from our due diligence perspective allows us to not only support local, but also for a few different reasons. And one is the timeliness of when we can get the vehicle. And I hear you today that, the vehicles are being used, however, vehicles, especially with the condition of our roads and the amount of use that we're using, it could break down tomorrow. And, for me, if there's a need, for it, and that's a differentiator that we can use in this process, I would definitely recommend supporting local.
If I could clarify that for Councillor Laferriere, The local vehicle is wouldn't be ready till late fall either. It's the middle one that's available now, which is from a company in North Bay also.
Councillor Whalen, a comment, and then Chris.
Yeah, just, I agree with the comment so far. The thing we have to keep in mind is we may have it back now, but we just recently had a loader sitting in North Bay waiting to have brakes done. It's only 150 kilometers, but when you have a breakdown, that's an expensive 150 kilometers. So we should keep that in mind and figure out some way to build that into our tender process.
Yeah, Chris had a comment there as well, and then we can defer this and send it back to committee there if you want there. So, Chris.
Yeah, I just wanted to, just on Mitch had talked to me a little bit about the shop local, and I understand that. I think we all want to make sure that we're supporting our local businesses. We do have to make sure that we're also following the applicable law as far as tenders and requests for proposals. So the section of the bylaw does say that fair and impartial award recommendations for all contracts and tenders. This means no preferential treatment extended to any supplier, including local companies. Not only is this contrary to the law, but it is not good business practice since it limits open and fair competition for all potential suppliers and is therefore a detriment to obtaining the best possible value for each tax dollar. If council, so I mean, you guys can do whatever you want. If you do want to look at something contrary to this, we should also investigate then whether or not the procurement policy needs to be waived and what the legal ramifications may be to that. If you were going to look at something other than lowest price in this case. So this was, I believe, Mitch, done as a request for quotation versus a request for proposal. So there was nothing in there about servicing or anything like that. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So if things like, so it may be a discussion we may need to have about if things like floating for repairs and where repair work is done and that sort of thing, those are things that we then really should be, if those are concerns of ours, we can look at those through more of a request for proposal process versus a request for tender or request for quotation, which in those processes, you're really looking at the best price, and you run the risk, if you don't accept the lowest price on a tender or quotation, of being challenged by the lowest bidder on your decision. So I just wanted to highlight those things because there may be some things we need to discuss at Public Works Committee even prior to the quotations being released. Then if shop local is going to be a consideration, there are a number of things we need to look at there.
If I could, Your Worship.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, as I said when I was speaking earlier, I understand the process. I'm not opposed to what we're doing and going with what we asked for. We asked for the lowest bid. I was just obviously worked. I just feel that hopefully locally they to use perhaps a sentence, sharpen their pencils, and come in with these. It would be nice to shop local, although I do understand it. I don't know that there's a need for a recorded vote in this one, though. I think that we made the decision when the RFQ went out.
Yeah, we actually approved the RFQ
That's right.
going out to the different distributors there. So
Exactly.
okay. If anybody wants to go ahead with a recorded vote, we can do that. If not, I'll just ask if anybody opposed to this motion.
Your Worship, just
Yes.
a comment, and I'm not opposed to the motion at all, but I do think that there's some value in sending, not necessarily this one, but any future opportunities to really do look at the request for proposal. And we talk about the upfront cost on the sales aspect of it, but if it is going to create additional maintenance costs because we are purchasing it elsewhere. I think those things should be taken into the equation so that we are looking at the overall impact of the ratepayer. And I'm not saying in this situation it would change, but it may when we start to look at, you know, any of the future costs. And, you know, especially we've had a number of vehicles, you know, we can look at history on what that impact looks like and really make sure that we're making an informed decision going forward. Thank you.
No, duly noted there. So thanks, Councilor Ferrier. If there's nobody opposed to this motion at this point, we will consider that one carried. Councilor Hewitt, did you have a comment first? I see your hand go up.
Yeah, primarily, I absolutely agree. I mean, could this not be deferred for further discussion so that we do have perhaps more parameters in place to support that notion?
I think at this point, we approved the request for quotations, so that has already gone out. We are following our procurement policy, so I don't think we can really discuss this particular tender. Maybe any future tenders we can certainly look at and decide whether we want to put out a request for proposals for anything in the future there. So
I certainly agree with that, Your Worship.
Yeah. Okay.
If I could just add to clarify, to achieve what Councillor Hewitt, what you're asking to be done, you'd really have to cancel the RFQ at this time, redo your tender or your tender documents, and then re-release them. That to achieve what I think you want to achieve. So I think Council has talked about we'll take some more time to review this at the committee level before we actually release RFQs, RFTs, or RFPs in the future.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Anybody opposed to this motion at this time? We will consider that one carried. So moving on, 15G, Administrative Report PW 005 2021, the tender award for liquid calcium. And I got a draft resolution moved by Councilor Jelly, second by Councilor Ferrier. Be resolved that Council for the City of St. Stars acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report PW 005 2021, and that Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to enter into an agreement with Pollard Distribution for the supply and delivery of liquid calcium in the amount of $49,920 plus applicable taxes for consideration at the March 2nd, 2021 regular council meeting. So, any comments? Anybody opposed to that motion? We'll consider that one carried. 15H, Memo 004 2021 RS, the Rotary Splash Pad, the project budget. And I got a draft resolution moved by Councilor Foley, second by Councilor Whalen. Be resolved that Council for the City of St. Stars acknowledge receipt of Memo 004 2021 RS. And the Council directs the Treasurer to increase the capital budget for the Rotary Splash Pad project from $522,000 up to $550,000. So, any comments? Anybody opposed to that motion? We will consider that one carried. 15I, Administrative Report RS 005 2021, the Active Transportation Plan. And I got a motion moved by Councilor Hewitt, second by Councilor Ferrier. Be resolved that Council for the City of Stars acknowledge receipt of Administrative Report RS 005 2021. And the Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to enter into an agreement with WSP Canada Incorporated for the creation of an active transportation plan in the amount of $44,390 plus applicable taxes for consideration at the March 2nd, 2021 regular council meeting tonight. So, any comments? Anybody opposed to that motion?
Your Worship, I just wanted to I did want to make a comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. And, you know, we did focus on a recreation plan, a recreation master plan. And it's really nice to see, you know, this was part of that recreation master plan. And it's nice to see that we did invest some money in really understanding, you know, the recreation needs within our community. And we didn't shelf that project. We're actually starting to see some movement and some implementation of it. So I think that I think it's awesome, and I totally support this. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, Councilor Hewitt.
Yeah, I support it as well, and pleased to see some movement for sure. And I'm wondering if Matt's available, can maybe address some of the key components moving forth in regards to the outcomes planned with this type of platform. So I'm not sure if he's available, but I think it's good for our general public to understand, why we're putting this forth at this time, because there was a lot of movement, like Councillor LaFerriere mentioned beforehand, that supported this.
Matt, do you want to make any comments on this?
Certainly, thanks, Mayor, through you to Councillor Hewitt. So this is essentially a expansion upon what we put through with the Recreation Master Plan to delve deeper into our active transportation within the city. So it will identify more directly which routes are best suited to be, say, for example, bicycle lanes or pathways. It also will do some more community engagement to make sure that the recommendations that they're bringing forward are what meet the needs of our citizens and will meet the needs of people who live here going forward into the future. And I just want to say the people who are going to be working on this project are essentially experts in this field and will give us a very professional plan that we can then utilize to move forward with some more expansion of our active transportation network. I actually had a phone call today with someone from a different community who had worked with this firm for some other similar type of projects, and they spoke very, very highly of them. And they were excited for us to be able to award them this project and go forward with it for this year. So I think there's some exciting things coming with this, and I'm looking forward to starting right away with them.
Good. Thank you very much, Matt. Appreciate that. I think it's going to be a good project. There's some good information coming out of that. See how we can connect different parts of this city together there on this active trail path going through there. So any other comments? Anybody opposed to this motion? We'll consider that carried. And moving on to item number 16, the bylaws. And I got a motion moved by Councillor Whalen, second by Councillor Jelly. Be resolved that bylaw 2021-028 being a bylaw to adopt an asset management plan for the city of Temiskaming Shores. Bylaw 2021-029 being a bylaw to appoint a municipal law enforcement officer, being Gabriel Tasse. Bylaw 2021-030 being a bylaw to appoint a property standards officer, being Gabriel Tasse as well. Bylaw 2021-031 being a bylaw to repeal bylaw 2021-008, the appointment of Cheryl Gilbert as a municipal law enforcement officer on a temporary basis there. Bylaw 2021-032 being a bylaw to enter an agreement with Freightliner North Bay for the supply and delivery of one triaxle dump truck. Bylaw 2021-033 being a bylaw to enter an agreement with Pollard Distribution Incorporated for the supply and application of liquid calcium chloride in the city of Temiskaming Shores. And lastly, bylaw 2021-034 being a bylaw to enter an agreement with WSP Canada Incorporated for the creation of an active transportation plan for the city of Temiskaming Shores. These bylaws be hereby introduced and given first and second reading. So, any comments on these bylaws? Anybody opposed to this motion? We will consider that carried. And the motion moved by Councillor MacArthur, second by Councillor Hewitt, to be resolved that bylaw 2021-028, 029, 030, 031, 032, 033, and 034 be given third and final reading, be signed by the mayor and clerk, and the corporate seal affixed thereto. Last chance for comment. Anybody opposed to this motion? Consider that carried. Scheduled council meetings. Next one is scheduled for Tuesday, March 16th at 6 p.m. And we'll have to decide whether or not we can go back to meeting in the council chambers or whether we're going to continue for the month of March as a virtual council meetings. And we'll decide that probably in cooperation with the health unit over the next week or so. Chris?
If I could too, Brad has advised me that there will be a period of time with the installation of the new audio visual equipment in the council chambers that we will have to probably for 2 meetings sometime in April or May meet virtually because the council chambers won't be available. They'll still be working on installing that AV equipment that will service both the for council meetings, but even more primarily for the POA court. So those are some of the the AV upgrades that were approved in the budget that we'll be installing very shortly.
Yeah. I know we've had 2 new COVID cases in the last week in the southern part of the district and 1 in the northern part of the district today. So depending on how that transpires over the next week, we'll make that decision whether we're going to stay virtual for the next meeting there for sure. So, and the second meeting will be Tuesday, April the 6th, 2021 at 6 p.m. as well. So any questions on the chat line or council at this point?
Mayor Kidd, we have 2 from the chat line from Rob Ritchie.
Okay.
The first one, he's asking about the active transportation plan and with the competent people we have in the rec department. Does the city have to outsource this plan after the 85,000 it's already paid for the recreational master plan? And do we have to spend 45,000 plus more on something that has already been or was supposed to be covered in the recreational master plan, which would drain the recreational department of 130,000?
I'll let Matt answer that if he wants to there. I mean, I think both plans are needed in the city here, and I don't think this active travel plan was really designated in the recreation master plan. But Matt, do you want to make a few comments?
Certainly. So thank you for the opportunity to answer this question. So essentially what we've done with the recreation master plan is given us our broad general overview of where recreation should be within our community. And then what we've done by, or what we're doing, sorry, by putting together an active transportation plan, we're taking a portion of the master plan and then going into much more detail on exactly how that's going to work within our city. So for example, they're going to be able to provide for us specific recommendations on which streets and how we would put bicycle lanes on a street, for example, or where we would put a pathway and why it would go there versus say another route. So it really is in much greater detail. And this plan itself, as well as our recreation master plan, they're going to help us in the future when we go to, say, for example, other levels of government for grant opportunities to be able to get some of these infrastructure projects done. And without sort of this specific detail, it would be much more difficult to get those approvals than it will be after we complete them.
It gives us an unbiased opinion there of what we should be doing, where the trails should be, and what roads we should be widening to put the bicycle trails on there as well. So that's great. So, any other comments from council on that? Comments from Mr. Ritchie, Councilor Whalen.
Yeah, not so much about the question itself, but WSP, I realize it's a different division of their corporation, but they're a worldwide company. They have experts in this. They actually did the study for the MTO and Going the Extra Mile for Safety group. And the information we got there was way beyond what any of us envisioned we would get, and was certainly beneficial towards our project. So I think they have the expertise. They've done this enough times in different areas that they're going to eliminate a lot of hiccups for us. So.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Hopefully that answers your question, Mr. Ritchie. Second question there, Shelley.
Yeah, so he's asking, what are the rules for Temiskaming Shores on the safety of audience during viewing of ice sports?
Matt, do you want to outline what our safety reopening of the arenas detailed?
Sure, I can certainly do that. So if the question is sort of asking about regarding COVID and how that would work, essentially what we've done is we've put together a plan that follows the provincial guidelines while still ensuring that people can use the facilities in a sort of manageable way. We have screening set up at the door. So now when anyone comes into the facility, they're expected to have completed our online COVID screening and contact tracing form. So that information is then databased with us. So we are able to provide contact tracing information should we be requested to by the health unit. People who are entering the facility need to be wearing masks as well as staying physically distanced from those outside of their households. And that includes those who are, say, for example, getting dressed in the dressing rooms. They're expected to wear masks in the dressing rooms as well. For those who are in the stands, we've requested that people only use certain areas of the facility to make sure that we can keep our staff as segregated as possible from members of the public, not because we don't like our members of the public, but just we want to make sure people are staying as safe as possible. And at the same time, physical distancing would be included in that instance. So if anyone has questions about our safety plan and how it works, they can see the plans on our website. They're listed for all of our facilities. They're specific to rinks, the pool and fitness center, as well as our halls. And I'm more than happy to answer any specific questions if people want to get in touch with me.
Matt, one thing new, I think, in the arenas is you have those little QR codes that people can take a photo of the QR code and actually do the registration online for that COVID screening.
That's correct.
Yes.
That's correct. So now what we're asking is when members of the public come to our facilities that they are filling out our online COVID-19 screening and contact tracing form. The way that they can do that is we have signage set up at the entrance to all of our city facilities. They can scan that QR code with their phone and it'll pop up the correct website to fill out the form. It's very simple. It's really just your contact information as well as a couple questions about COVID-19 symptoms. So we're asking that again, everyone fill that out so that we know that people who are coming into our facility are doing so and are healthy when they're doing so. It's something that we've implemented just in the last couple of weeks now that we've reopened. And again, if anyone has any questions about how that works or have issues with using, say, their phone at the facility to do so, we have some other options available and can work through those on a case-by-case basis as necessary.
Good. No, hopefully everybody can get the vaccines, especially the kids in that, by September there, and we can go back into a more normal minor hockey association season for this fall, next spring there. So, yes, Councillor Foley.
No, Matt, how are we going to police this? Because after some things that have happened this weekend, I'm getting lots of messages about parents saying what's to stop them from going in the arena and who's going to keep track of it and who is going to police these people to keep them out. Again, lots of parents saying that who's to stop them, both parents, from going in and watching their kids at the rink now.
So since the beginning, we've relied upon the goodwill of the people of our community to follow the rules that we put in place. And I think for the vast majority of the time frame, it's gone really well, and everyone has been following these rules. So, and a thank you to those who are doing so, because it has made our lives a lot easier as staff to make sure that people are doing what they need to do and just keeping the facilities open. Because at the end of the day, if we were to have a bunch of, say, for example, COVID cases because people weren't following our rules at the arena, we would end up closing it likely, and it wouldn't be available. To answer your question a bit more specifically, though, so again, when people fill out those forms, it gets put into a database with all the information that they've submitted, and so we will be doing compliance checks going forward on a case-by-case basis, as well as on a surveillance basis, and following up with our renters to ensure that they're following through with their obligations as the renters, to ensure that the people who are coming are filling out those forms and doing what they need to do. At the end of the day, we could implement some additional protocols like staff at the door, but we would have to consider how that's going to cost and whether or not that's going to get passed along to those who are using the facilities, or if it would be just the general staff time that we use for that.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Councillor Foley. Any other questions, Shelley, or from council?
And that's it, Carmen.
Okay. Any questions from council tonight? Seeing none, we got no closed session tonight. So we got a confirming bylaw moved by Councillor Ferrier, second by Councillor Foley. Be resolved that bylaw 2021-035 being a bylaw to confirm certain proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the City of St. George for its regular meeting held on March the 2nd, 2021, be hereby introduced and given first and second reading. Anybody opposed to that motion? Seeing and hearing none, that would be carried. And second last motion moved by Councillor MacArthur, second by Councillor Jelly, be resolved that bylaw 2021-035 be given third and final reading, be signed by the mayor and clerk, and the clerk will seal affixed thereto. So anybody opposed to that motion? We will consider that one carried. And last motion of the night, moved by Councillor Hewitt, second by Councillor Foley, be it resolved the council hereby adjourns this meeting at 6:54. Anybody opposed to adjourning tonight? So seeing none, we will consider that carried, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for attending tonight there, and everyone in the public there as well. And stay home, stay safe. Thank you.